Well, turning now to our storm watch coverage. One of the biggest disasters responsible for the flooding on Highway 99, a levee breach in 2 areas, leading to flash flooding across the area of Wilton. That is near Elk-Grove.
And this morning, emergency crews are working against the clock as another storm comes in. ABC 10's Bridget Biorlo's live in Point Pleasant this morning, which is another area that was hit hard by flooding. Bridget, we're told several people are still stranded in their homes surrounded by flooding. So what are emergency crews working on today?
Good morning, Abria. Crews are working around the clock to prevent more of this flash flooding in neighborhoods. We are off Twin Cities Road just south of Elk-Grove, and quite a bit of standing water here that really goes several feet down if you move this way. This is all spilling from the river into neighborhoods. It even goes into the second lane, which is why this road is closed this morning. And I'm not sure if you can hear the flow of this water moving quite fast, which is why it is so critical to never attempt driving through these flooded roads, because you don't know what's in the water and you don't know how fast the rushing water is moving. It can really move you around and cause some serious problems. There was someone who died in a submerged vehicle over the weekend in Wilton. So first responders don't want you taking any chances with your life. Take a look at this video of the drone footage we collected yesterday showing just how high the Cosumnes River is right now, the second highest on record since we started tracking these things. And as you can see, so much water in towns. There are a lot of cars stranded. Crews made multiple rescues over the weekend, even multiple yesterday, even though there was a dry period, because there's so many pockets of standing water and too many people taking the chance and moving their cars through these areas and needing to be hoisted up by helicopter from first responders in the area. And crews have been working on those levee breaches throughout the day yesterday and more so today, because they're really zeroing in on the north side of the Cosumnes River west of the Wilton Bridge, and they want to patch up any holes to make sure that what happened over the weekend doesn't repeat itself. Take a listen.
So we have the one small 20-foot breach on the east side south, and we have the one big breach east side north are the 2 breaches that we have that are known right now. Nobody can predict what these storms are going to do, especially when they're warm, so we really don't know what we have, but it could be just as bad as we saw on Thursday.
So they're bracing for the worst. More rainfall is only adding to the floods that are already in so many areas. The focus today, crews say, is the east side of the Wilton Bridge. That's where they're going to be patching up any holes in the breach levee. They're focusing on 2 key parts, and they're telling people who live in these areas to stay clear of any trucks as crews really work to race around the clock before the next weather system moves in, Bria.
And Bridget, what are the challenges with the Cosumnes River?
Well, the Cosumnes River is interesting because it doesn't have a large dam attached to it. It has some diversions and a smaller dam, but nothing really designed specifically for flood protection. And when you look at the landscape of our area, the Cosumnes River leads to the McCullough River and the Sacramento River. And I'm in an interesting place on Twin Cities Road because I'm not far from the Cosumnes River. I'm not far from the McCullough River. And the concern is that the McCullough River floods as well and spills over. This area can act as a bowl, just trapping all this water and leading to much more of this flash flooding in neighborhoods, and that's why we saw many evacuations in the Wilton area over the weekend and in Point Pleasant, Bria.
Yeah, Bridget, some really good insight there. Hopefully we can get everything prepared before we get more rain on the way. Bridget, thank you. Downed power lines have also presented a danger for residents. SMUD says there are 60 power poles that need to be replaced in the Sacramento area. Each of them take 8+ hours for crews to complete. We talked to one woman who was in her Land Park home when a tree came crashing down and it scattered power lines across her fence and roof.
SMUD came last night and said they were live wires. They gave me a tag that said that they're dangerous. It goes all the way. Here's some more live wire. It was very scary. And I had to end up sleeping in my car all night.
She tells us she was scared that the tree would come right into her bedroom. SMUD says crews are working around the clock and they said help. is coming. So if you are dealing with a fallen power line near your home, it's important to always assume it's a live wire. Experts recommend staying 100 feet away from any downed line, which is about the length of 2 semi-trucks.
And if you are in a situation where you're trying to get away from a downed line, don't walk. Instead, you should shuffle. Keep both of your feet on the ground the entire time. That'll minimize your risk of getting electrocuted. Well, there is some good news to share with you this morning. That senior center that our Marcus Allen stopped by yesterday has its lights back on. The lights came on at Margaret McDowell Manor in West Sacramento around 12:30 yesterday afternoon. Now, local law enforcement volunteers and community members all helped in making sure the hundreds of residents were taken care of. Well, this morning we are learning about a major operation that took place as floodwaters rose.
ABC 10's Chris Thomas tells us about the more than 1,000 inmates moved from the Consumnes Correctional Center in Elk-Grove.
There's a lot of security concerns of moving one. Now you multiply that by 1,100 with a time constraint and fighting Mother Nature at the same time. Obviously, you can put all that together and it sounds like the plot to a Nicolas Cage movie somewhere.
Newly sworn in Sheriff Jim Cooper launched the Emergency Operations Center and turned to local and state partners to help with the evacuation.
Very short honeymoon, but we're very ready. So I'm very fortunate to be proactive in this evacuation rather than having to wait for disaster to come to our doorstep.
The sheriff's office says the threat of flooding grew as the weather got worse over the holiday weekend, with the road starting to erode near the facility. So they decided to evacuate all inmates and staff, launching the Emergency Operations Center to help with coordinating the dangerous operation.
It's not like we can just put everybody next to everybody. There's classification issues, rival gang issues. We've got to separate folks for a myriad of reasons.
Throughout Sunday afternoon, all 1,075 inmates along with staff were evacuated.